Welcome to this call, the 5 aspects of sustained greatness. And I want you to think about that word, greatness. What does that word mean to you? Everyone has a different definition of greatness, but I know so many people, especially the ones watching this video, are striving for greatness. So I wanted to give you some action steps and tell you the common themes of all the greats in every industry, regardless of the economy. And I've done years of research on successful people, interviews, reading biographies, going to events, to conferences, to seminars, to reading a lot of books, to listening to audios and videos. And really, there's 5 aspects that every great person has. And I'm going to go through those. But I first want you to understand, if you want to reach your peak or you're striving for greatness, you will receive criticism. Why? Because most people don't want to look at your example of possibility and emulate it, because when you're playing at your best, you actually threaten people, and a lot of people don't want to change. They want to stay in their safe harbor and play small. So you actually threaten them and you discourage them by your example of living amazing and your example of staying hungry. So this call really is not, it's about not letting you ever play it mediocre and always refusing to stay stagnant and complacent, because I'll tell you, these days complacency is killing people's dreams, goals, their desires, and their bank accounts. So instead, stand for exceptionalism and never let yourself lower your standards. So I'm going to go into the science of greatness and exceptional performance. The Warren Buffetts, the Mozarts, the Jerry Rices, the Michael Jordans, the Tiger Woods, the David Beckhams, people that everyone has heard of. Here's what's exciting. If you do what the best do, you will eventually get results like the best of them. I'm going to say that again. If you do the things I share with you in this session consistently, it's almost impossible for you not to get top-notch results. So in every industry, every profession, field, sport, there's a select few that achieve greatness. And as we all witness, it's a very small percentage. Whether it's the Hollywood scene, movie industry, entertainment, athletics, real estate, you're an author, a lawyer, a restaurant owner, you're a CEO, you name it. There's always a small percentage, always, that achieve greatness. And when I say greatness, I mean the Michael Jordans, the Steve Jobs, the Anthony Hopkins, Robert De Niro's, Jim Rohn's, Tony Robbins, Howard Schultz, the Beatles, U2. There's a sense of legacy and greatness that they have left behind them. And the old myth is that those people were born different than you and me. And growing up, I thought they were gifted and they were born with special talents. Well, here's the deal. That concept of giftedness is flawed. They are no different than you and I. They just do different things. It's not genetic. It's not educational. It's behavioral. It's all behavior. So any environment, I want you to realize this before we really dive into the good stuff. Any environment, any ethnicity or background or town or business has these breakdowns. And it goes like this. 1% is always extremely successful, well off, doing extremely well. 4 to 5% are doing really well, not as good as the 1%, but they're doing really well. 15%, 14 or 15% are doing good, above average. And then there's the 80% that are confused and in awe of the top 20%. That's really how it always is. So the 5 aspects of sustained greatness. I would write these down and I would rank yourself on each of these and create action steps on what you can improve on in each. And immediately do this, because you only live once and time's going to go by anyways. You might as well invest your time into becoming great, okay? The worst thing in life, the worst thing, and this is something that I never want to have, is regret. Looking back when you're 40 or 50 or 60 with regret that you didn't live the life you know you were truly capable of living because of fear or lack of understanding. So, number 1, mastery or obsession. You can call this obsession. Now, obsession is actually a healthy obsession, But these people have a singular focus, and the best of the best have something in common. The difference between when they started and when they became great was usually 10 or 15 years. And they were obsessed with their one thing for years. They would rather work on that craft than go to a party. They would rather work on that business than go to the movies or indulge in tension-relieving activities. They said Steve Jobs wouldn't go home. He would stay at his office most of the night because he was obsessed with making Apple better and making them more user-friendly. Think about that. Great artists don't paint to become famous. They paint because they're obsessed with creating amazing art. Musicians, same thing. U2 didn't have in their head they're going to get rich. They just wanted to produce great music that people can relate to and create emotional excitement. Kobe Bryant, there's a story that I read years ago, and I've never forgot it, in high school. Of course, he's obsessed with basketball. But middle school, high school, he never went out, never partied, didn't go out a lot when all his friends were going out. He would stay in the gym. And people actually, it got to the point in high school where people were calling him weird. Kobe, why aren't you got to take this basketball thing a little, you got to ease up on that. You got to enjoy yourself, have fun. He didn't listen. He became obsessed with becoming the best basketball player possible. And of course, the rest is history. A lot of people see Kobe as great because of his championships and how well he's done. Become a master at one thing and then get better at your craft daily. Okay, that's my point. You want to have clear focus on your one skill. Michelangelo was a sculptor and painter. Tiger Woods, golf. He's been golfing since he was 3 or 4 years old. Timothy Sykes has a site out, a membership site, and he teaches people how to trade penny stocks and sell penny stocks. He said since an early age, he's mastered and he's studied and he's absorbed himself and became obsessed with penny stocks. Well, he now makes $150,000 a month from teaching other people what he's done. Eric Thomas, who I've had a chance to communicate with and build a relationship with, worldwide motivational speaker. His main focus, he cares about nothing else except inspiring and motivating people, moving people. That's all he focuses on. Michael Jordan, basketball. Stuart Scott, ESPN announcer. He's become obsessed with being the best announcer possible. Johnny Depp, acting. L.A. Reid, finding talent. You see, they have their one niche. Rather than being good at a lot of things, they focus on their craft. Gary Vaynerchuk, who is a business mogul, started a wine business, got it up to $100-something million, super successful. His quote is, and I had a chance to conversate with him a couple weeks ago, very intense guy, but he knows exactly what he wants, and he's obsessed with the one thing that he's good at, and that's made him famous. He said, I suck, I'm not going to say the other word, I suck at 99% of stuff in the world, but man, that 0.01% I'm really good at. And he said his one gift is knowing what the customers are going to do before everybody else does. I know I'm sounding repetitive here, but I really want to get this point across because I know how serious you are about becoming great in what you do and even greater than you are today. And it takes focus and it takes obsession over the thing that you want to get good at. Jay-Z was focused on music since he was 9 years old. You might see him and say, wow, he's amazing. He can rhyme well. He's this and this. He's just been doing it for 15, 20, 30 years. And once he switched his obsession to business, he became a businessman. But it takes years to master. Those who try to master all, master nothing. Okay, it takes 10,000 hours to master something, approximately 7 to 10 years. So it's not about the money for these people. It's not about the fame. It's not about the recognition even. It's about becoming the best at what they do and becoming world class at what they do. I was watching a Jay-Z interview 2 nights ago, and they asked him what motivates him. This is a guy that's built a $400 million empire and who's had a rough past from the projects in New York. And he said, you know what motivates me is striving for greatness and doing work that outlasts me. Think about that. Doing work that outlasts me. That's pretty powerful. But these people are motivated by inner drive not just by external factors. And Warren Buffett said, obsession is the DNA of greatness. I got that from one of the Robin Sharma videos I've been watching. But Warren Buffett says, obsession is the DNA of greatness. Me, myself, I'm obsessed with inspiring people to chase their dreams, never settle, and become world-class leaders. I love helping people raise their standards, as you guys all know. But make sure you have domain knowledge on your subject and know that you should be better at your craft than anyone else in your field. So you want to be so good at what you do, people can't ignore you. So number one, obsession and mastery of one or two narrow focused areas. Number two, deliberate practice. Now, this is practice that is purely focused on getting better every single day and challenging yourself. What scientists have found is that when your brain is put under stress, dormant genetic coding gets expressed. So when the practice goes beyond your limits, what starts to happen is resources you didn't know you had come to light. I want you to write that down. Deep daily practice. And in a study done by Thomas Albert at a university in Germany, he found that the area of the brain, again, it's called neuroplasticity, which some of you may have heard of. It's a new idea, whereas the brain has it's a lot more like muscle than we thought. And when you work at a muscle and you work at it and you work at it, it gets stronger. So with the brain, if you work at it and you start challenging yourself more, it accelerates your processing, which allows you to see things more clearly than your peers who don't practice, which they can't see those things. In this study, what was learned is the area of the brain responsible for controlling the fingers in young concert pianists was more developed the more the child practiced, which allowed the child to play at world class, which the other players almost thought he was abnormal and he was born with something specific or something genius, but it was just because he practiced more. Here's some case studies. David Beckham, who's a genius at soccer, bending the ball. If you've seen how he kicks the ball, it almost doesn't look real. But to use his own words, my secret is in my practice. He says, my secret is in my practice. His father said his dedication was exceptional. It was almost like he lived on the field. And I'll tell you, if you watch him, go watch a video on David Beckham. The way he bends the ball, you literally might think he's not human. But it's just a result of years and years and years of deliberate practice. Tony Robbins is a motivational speaker, a business mogul, worth a couple $100 million. And when I was at his event a couple months ago, I remember thinking, this guy's a genius. He's a genius at moving people and getting people to think and motivating and inspiring them to take action. But then I realized he's been doing it since he was 18 years old. He's 53 now. That's 35 years of practice. I'm not saying he's not amazing, but you know that he is as good as he is and he's better than everybody else because no one's put in that much work. So you see all these people doing amazing things, but you don't see the backstory, or you don't see what they do on a Friday night, or what they do consistently throughout their life, okay? And what else Tony Robbins does, I found out, is after every event, he meets with his team to see what he could do better, to go over where he could improve for the next event. He does that after every single event. So not only is he good, but he strives for greatness after every single thing he does. Warren Buffett, some people might say he's a genius at investing or allocating capital. But in reality, he started his first business when he was 6 years old. Okay, 6 years old. I want you to think about that. His father was a stockbroker, and all he did was practice. He loved studying business. While everyone else was watching TV, while all the other kids were playing outside, chasing girls, whatever they do when you're 7 or 8, 9 years old, or playing sports, and people had scattered focus, he was obsessive about studying great companies at age 7 or 8, 9 or 10. So think about what you were doing when you were 7 or 8 and what Warren Buffett was doing. That's why the future is drastically different for each. Okay? Again, the case study I'm trying to make here on the second aspect of the greatness is when you push yourself and you stretch yourself consistently and you practice like Michael Jordan practiced, Okay, working on your shot every single day. If you push yourself past your limit and then you push yourself past that limit, you will expand the areas of your brain, and according to neuroplasticity, you will grow it and you'll actually become better at your craft. And you'll start to see things other people can't see. Okay? So how does this apply to the second point? Well, it means every single day practice on something you know you're good at and you know you want to do for the rest of your life. Okay, as a business person, practice your craft, read about leadership. If your goal is to be a world-class negotiator, read everything you possibly can get your hands on negotiation. I would recommend every night before you go to sleep, watch your game tapes like Phil Jackson did before the next game, or like Roger Federer does after Wimbledon. Just every day, study something to get better at what you do in your industry, okay? This is actually the best time to practice, by the way, is mornings and nights, because it's right before you go to bed or right when you wake up. Take a half hour, write in your journal or debrief your day. Ask yourself questions like, how did I perform today? What can I do even better tomorrow? When was I at my best this week? Okay, again, not just go to work, but actually consciously practice and challenge yourself. And you'll come up with ways to even be more excellent of an elite performer. If you do these things consistently, you'll start to catch things that you don't usually see. Okay? And all people that have reached greatness have become students of the game, students of their craft, and they've never stopped learning. Number 3, circle of genius. AKA resources. So these people have the best resources usually. And you always want to have a group of people that play the game at a higher level than you that you're communicating with, because this pulls up your standards. You hear me talk about this a lot. Your circle of genius, or the law of association, or who you hang out with is who you become. But I'll tell you, if you're hanging out with people playing the game at a higher level than you, they literally will raise your standards. Most people hang out with a bunch of people that are in their same bracket of income, intelligence, knowledge, hunger, and they never get any better. They're stuck just being satisfied. Most people go through life staying satisfied, safe, or comfortable. And that's the opposite of greatness. So under Circle of Genius, have the best resources. The best athletes, for example, have the best gyms. They have the best coaches, the best tools. They have the best equipment. And I want you to remember that your environment influences your performance profoundly. Okay? Now you have me as your leadership coach, kind of helping you and giving you tips that I've learned, and I've put years into this, but I'm taking you through the leadership process to get you world class as a entrepreneur or a sales professional or an athlete or a business person. Okay? It's just a smart move that you're investing in yourself and watching videos like this, all right? But what happens when you hang out with elite performers, their performance will automatically rub off on you. It's like when you play with better athletes or you work out with stronger people, you naturally will become stronger, and their expertise will rub off on you. I want you to think about this. LeBron James, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, played with the varsity team, practicing. Now, he wasn't the best player, but when you're 11, 12, 13 years old, playing with 16, 17, 18-year-olds, every single day, you're getting beat up, but he was challenging himself, so he was raising his game at the same time. So place yourself in positions where you're challenged with people that are already better than you. You want to be the dumbest person in the room at all times. I know it sounds weird, but try it, because their expertise will rub off on you, and you'll actually rise to the next level. Mia Hamm, who's a soccer player, said she used to play with people who were much better, much faster, and much more excellent than she was. And she very quickly became more talented because she rose to the level of people she was influenced by. And under this subpoint of resources and people you associate with, they stay 100% present in the now. And they make sure everything they're doing now adds to their future to make their future better. And hanging around people that do that keeps them future-oriented. They consistently use that experience they have, their past failures, their current reality, to add drive and motivation to their future. So I want to hit this point very carefully and quickly. Stay future-oriented, because that'll help today's productivity. And achievers are always future-oriented. High performers always stay connected, okay, to a more compelling future, whereas low performers don't maintain that same vision for a future. And there was a stat I learned at an event I was at that shown that multimillionaires talk about the future 9-1 compared to everybody else. When you hang around people who talk about the future, you will start to talk about the future even more. And they are in a state of appreciation as well, okay? Mandela said it well in his autobiography. He said, "I've climbed the mountain. I must pause and celebrate how far I've come. But I must not rest too long because my long journey has not ended." So they realize greatness is not a destination, it's a journey. And they're always improving, talking to people playing the game at a higher level than them and getting better. They're not satisfied with just good or even great. They want exceptionalism. They want greatness. They want to create legacies. That's just who they are because of their past decisions and who they've been around. Okay? So make sure that you stay with people that are playing the game at a higher level. Number 4, unfamiliar with limitations. These people are unfamiliar with limits or fears. Okay, your beliefs from your inner rules is how you play the game. Great achievers have inner rule books or beliefs that enhance their success, while most people have beliefs that keep them playing small and in constant fear. I'm going to say that again because that's very important to understand. The greats have rule books or beliefs in them that enhance their success, aka they believe they can do anything. There's no limits for them, while most people have beliefs that keep them small and in constant fear. 50 Cent is a great example. That guy thinks he can accomplish anything, and he is. He just started a boxing promotion company. He has vitamin water. He has headphones. He has his own record label. He has his own clothing label. And he's someone that is from a very, very humble, rough beginning. But nobody can tell him he can't do something. His rule book, his inner core values believe he can do anything, not limit. So what happens is we have all these amazing thoughts and excitement as a child. You're going to accomplish this. I'm going to be in the NBA. I'm going to start my own business. But as you grow up, all those get hidden from the media, from people saying you can't do it, from low standards, from teachers, parents, coworkers, associates, and you no longer have the belief that you can do anything. So I'll tell you, great achievers a lot of times are rebel thinkers. They believe the rules are made to be broken, and the only limitations you have are those you place on yourself, okay? So for me, a quick story was in 2008, I kept hearing people talking about $1 million a year, $1 million a year. It's very rare. Only the top 1% do it in the company. It's been a 60-year company. And I was brand new. And for me, if I would have done it the next year, it would have been the quickest in our company history. And my natural thought was, there's no way I can do it. No one else has ever done it. But once I started researching how to do it, my confidence got a little bit higher. And then I started talking to people that have done it, my confidence got a little bit higher. And throughout the year, my faith was wavering. And we had a couple 100,000 to go with a couple months left. And I read a book by Brian Tracy, The Maximum Achievement. It's called Maximum Achievement. And this book changed my life, and it was all about limitations. In that book, it had a quote, and it was what I just said. The only limitations you have are those you place on yourself. And he kept saying, anything's possible, anything's possible, anything's possible, anything's possible. And I just conditioned that in my brain that year. And in 2009, our office did over $1 million. First time in company history, it was done that quickly. I do not say that to brag. I say that to understand the power of getting rid of limitations. They say the only person that could have stopped Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan. A lot of times you're getting in your own way. And people that are achieving greatness don't get in their own way. They give themselves the ultimate competitive advantage by staying limitless mentally. Okay? And I'll tell you, the first 3 aspects of greatness mastery, deliberate practice, and circle of genius will increase your confidence, which will lower your limitations. Realize as your confidence increases, your limitations disappear. So once you get rid of limitations, then you got to stay out of your own way. And the majority of mediocre people see confidence as sometimes arrogant or cocky. Tiger Woods is cocky. Michael Jordan's cocky. Muhammad Ali's cocky. Well, I'll tell you what. Great people see that as an unshakable belief in their ability to make it happen. Okay? And Muhammad Ali's famous quote, "I am the greatest, and I said that before I knew I was." So what beliefs about yourself or what's possible or how you play the game hinder your success? What rules, inner or outer, must you break to shift your thinking? And do you believe you were built for greatness? Ask yourself right now. You should pause this and ask yourself, do I truly believe I am capable of greatness and I believe I'm built for it? And if the answer is no to either of those, you need to make sure you're doing these things so you can shift from fear to confidence. All right, number 5. This pulls it all together. Can't have the other 4 without this one. Resilience. Never giving up. I was listening to an audio on greatness, actually, and it stated that a Chinese figure skater fell 20,000 times. 20,000 times she fell before she became a gold medalist in the Olympics. I want you to think about that. 20,000 times, okay? Be resilient. I want to leave you with the final thought. Just be resilient. The very process of greatness means that you fail more than everybody else, but you must fail forward. And there's something phenomenal that happens when you stay with your craft longer than anybody else does. When you stay with your vision to be the absolute best at what you do longer than everybody else stays in the game. I just think of Tiger Woods. He just became number 1 again. He went through some scrutiny, some major challenges, even a crisis, right? Dropped to not even on the rankings. And almost every single news reporter and article and magazine and video and book said there is a small chance, less than 1% chance he would ever get to number 1 again. He just got to number 1 again. Champions, regardless of what happens, never give up because they know their legacy's more important than their current feelings. LeBron James, another example. 2011 was one of the most scrutinized players in NBA history because he would do extremely well in the season and he would choke in the playoffs. And he didn't do too well. His team lost. And he got scrutinized by everybody for leaving Cleveland, for not playing well, for playing weak, for backing down to competition in the playoffs and the finals. And he was only 25 at the time. It was getting to him, right? He was supposed to be this great player, and he wasn't doing well when it actually counted. Well, what happened is he worked extremely hard in the offseason. He got in touch with himself. He figured out what was really important to him, to get back to the fundamentals and the basics and have fun. And the next year, he had the best season almost anyone's ever had, and he won the championship. And their teams now won, I think, 26 in a row. So I want you to think about that. He's now back to greatness, and he's having one of the best seasons once again anyone's ever seen, and we're probably going to watch them win the championship once again. So don't listen to your critics. Block out the noise. Block out the noise of everybody else who already gave up on their goals, who don't want you to achieve greatness because it makes them insecure. Ignore those people. 71% of people hate what they do and live in regret. Now, I don't know the stat of living in regret, but if you hate what you do, you're probably going to regret doing it afterwards. And they don't like what they do. They're not satisfied. They're not living the life of their dreams. They're not building a legacy. Ignore them. Don't worry about them. Block out the critics and distractions when you fail. Remember, failing is part of the process of getting to greatness. I think a lot of you guys saw my failure video a while ago, but you can't get better as an athlete or a business person or a performer or play the game of business like the Donald Trumps or the Mark Cubans without a few errors. Well, actually, a lot of errors. What I'm suggesting is The very process of getting better means you will fail more than the average person. So always have the vision in your head when things are tough now. It's so easy, guys, and I've experienced this myself. It's so easy when things are getting challenging or nothing seems to be going right to give up on becoming great and just settle for getting by. Don't do that, because that's where you'll end up with regret. And people that are great and that achieve greatness, they don't have regret because they live every day like they're creating something that's going to outlast them. Okay, let's review. Master your craft. Whatever it is, narrow down your focus and become obsessed with it. Focus on being the best at what you do and getting better every single day. Stay hungry. Number 2, deliberate practice. Once you define your craft and what you're obsessed about, get better and practice to challenge yourself. Don't just practice and stop when it gets hard. Challenge yourself. Number 3, circle of influence. Who you hang out with, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And you want to hang out with people that are pulling up your standards so your standards could be at their level. Become unfamiliar with limitations. Get rid of all your limits by strengthening your character, by investing in yourself, studying, join memberships, get good books, watch videos, go to seminars. Become unfamiliar with limitations. Number 5, be resilient and never give up. You were built to be brilliant, and anybody can achieve greatness if you focus on those 5 areas consistently. Hope this helps. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought, and we'll talk in the next video.